Reacher Season 2 review. Bigger, badder, and better than ever. The first season of Reacher was a surprise in how good it was, but should it have been? Prime Video had already hit it out of the park with their Jack Ryan series starring John Krasinski. So why not do what Paramount did in the early 2010s and attempt to have two big franchises built around jacked dudes named Jack? Based on Lee Child's ever-popular and ever-expanding book series, previously adapted into two films starring Tom Cruise. The first season of the Prime Video series set out to do just that, serving as a direct adaptation of the first novel in Child's series, The Killing Floor. It also starred a more size-accurate actor in the titular role in the form of Alan Ritchson. The series was a hit, not only with audiences and critics, but in its ratings too, becoming the first Prime Video series to top the Nielsen SVOD rankings. While Amazon has been desperately trying to build mega-budgeted shows like The Rings of Power, Citadel, and Carnival Row, it seems like the kind of show they needed all along was Reacher and The Boys, but that's another story. It was truly great, addictive TV, a fun, serialized action series that knew exactly what it was, and it succeeded in bringing the thrills. It's not too surprising that Prime Video and the Reacher creative team would want to go bigger with a Season 2. But while many breakout shows struggle with a bloated sophomore slump, Reacher Season 2 is the opposite. Much like its giant star, bigger means better. What is Reacher Season 2 about? Based on the 11th novel in the Jack Reacher series, Bad Luck and Trouble, the new season of Reacher kicks off a little over 2 years after the 6'5" hero exposed the corruption in Margrave, Georgia. Still living his nomadic lifestyle, Reacher once again crosses paths with Francis Neagley, Maria Sten, who served alongside him in his military police unit. When their former squad mates begin to get killed off one by one, Reacher and Neagley join forces with fellow members of the same team, including rebellious wildcard turned family man David O'Donnell, Sean Seppos, and the cunning Carla Dixon, Serena Swan, to figure out the cause of the murders before they are hunted down themselves. Reacher Season 2 successfully raises the stakes for the show, while the inaugural season of Reacher provided a more than satisfying amount of thrills on a lower budget than the Cruise movies. Season 2 broadens the scope to an even larger degree. Not only is the self-proclaimed hobo traveling across the country to solve his latest case, but the action, the mystery, and the drama all feel bigger, better, and thankfully never bloated. These new episodes also offer a compelling look into Reacher's military past, which never feels out of place. Series showrunner Nick Santora has a clear vision, and he executes it perfectly. Much like the book series, Santora has seemingly designed this show so that new viewers will be able to follow Season 2 without having seen Season 1. There are still references to the events that transpired in Margrave during the series' first season, but they mainly serve as nice callbacks for fans. That's not to say that you shouldn't watch Reacher's freshman season, you absolutely should, but it's not necessary to get sucked into the latest installment. All 8 episodes are extremely fast-paced, and aside from the season premiere, run under 50 minutes. The new season feels tight and focused, wasting no time diving into Reacher and his team's latest case, while maintaining the same level of grit, humor, and intrigue that made Season 1 such a success. Even though some of the finale feels a tad underwhelming considering everything that came before, it still feels well worth the ride. Amazon Prime's Reacher series was a sleeper hit when it first premiered, and fans of Lee Child's novels couldn't have asked for a better on-screen adaptation of the beloved character. Alan Ritchson's towering portrayal of the ex-military cop Jack Reacher hit all the right notes in Season 1. Stoic yet charismatic, physical but thoughtful, and most importantly, a near-perfect embodiment of the larger-than-life protagonist. Season 2 not only builds on the momentum of the first, but amplifies everything that made the initial season a success. It's bigger, badder, and in many ways, better than ever. High-stakes action. If there's one thing that Reacher does exceedingly well, it's delivering action that's both thrilling and brutal. Season 2, in true form, doesn't disappoint. From the opening scenes, it's clear that the show is out to raise the stakes, drawing Reacher into a darker, more dangerous world. The combat sequences feel even more intense this time around, with close-quarters hand-to-hand fights that emphasize the physicality and raw power of Ritchson's Reacher. But it's not all about brute force. The action in Reacher balances tension with choreography, making each fight scene not only a spectacle, but also a progression of the story. Reacher's military background comes into play more frequently this season, showcasing his tactical mind as much as his fists. Whether he's fighting a room full of thugs or navigating a deadly ambush, every confrontation feels meaningful, pushing the narrative forward and keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. A more complex Reacher Season 2 dives deeper into the psychological layers of Jack Reacher, adding more nuance to his character. While he was largely an enigmatic figure in Season 1, stoic and seemingly unflappable, the second season peels back some of the layers, revealing more about what drives him. Richardson's performance remains grounded, but we see hints of vulnerability that weren't as evident before. His emotional depth is subtly explored as he grapples with the moral ambiguities of his violent lifestyle. One of the great strengths of Season 2 is how it balances Reacher's near-superhuman capabilities with moments of introspection. Reacher is still the laconic, near-mythic hero, but now he's also questioning what he's fighting for, particularly as the lines between right and wrong blur. These moments of self-reflection add a welcome complexity to his character, making him more relatable without detracting from the rugged, no-nonsense persona that fans love. Supporting characters and strong villains in any action series, the hero is often only as good as the villains and allies they encounter. Reacher Season 2 introduces a fresh batch of adversaries that feel more fleshed out and threatening than those from the first season. The primary antagonist is more than just a faceless villain. There's a personal element to Reacher's clash with him, adding emotional weight to the conflict. Without delving into spoilers, the main villain is the kind of adversary who challenges Reacher both physically and mentally, resulting in a compelling cat-and-mouse game that stretches across the entire season. As for allies, Reacher's relationships also evolve in fascinating ways. Roscoe, Willa Fitzgerald, is no longer the main female lead, but the show introduces new characters who add different dynamics to Reacher's journey. The camaraderie and friction between Reacher and his new allies bring a fresh energy to the show, with moments of humor and tension that provide a nice counterbalance to the heavier themes. Each character feels well-rounded, and the interactions are both organic and engaging. A tighter, more gripping story. One of the minor criticisms of Season 1 was that it sometimes dragged in the middle, with a few episodes that felt like filler. Season 2 seems to have taken that feedback to heart. The pacing is much tighter, with each episode packed with tension, action, and meaningful plot developments. There's no room for wasted scenes, and the mystery at the heart of this season is more gripping, keeping viewers hooked from the first episode to the last. What also works in favor of the second season is the increased sense of scale. The scope of the story is broader, involving higher stakes that go beyond Reacher's personal vendettas. This wider lens adds a sense of urgency and grandeur, making Reacher's fight against injustice feel even more consequential. Yet, despite the expanded scale, the show never loses sight of its grounded, character-driven roots. Cinematic direction and visuals. Visually, Season 2 continues the high standard set by the first season, but with a few upgrades. The cinematography is slick, making great use of locations that feel both atmospheric and foreboding. Whether it's a grimy urban setting or